You know, if I had a magic wand, I would make office politics disappear. Because I'm convinced that we'd all be a lot more successful, or at least our success would come with far less stress if we didn't have to deal with all the non-business related stresses that other folks cause at work. And yet we know a day in the office may well involve having to navigate through interpersonal matters that have nothing to do with the numbers, and indeed have nothing to do with the business. And we're terrified by the prospect of it. You know, it doesn't matter how well things are going at work. There always seems to be someone who is willing and waiting to throw a little shade on your parade. And whether they bring their attacks to your face or they launch them behind your back, it's always disappointing to realize that some folks just don't want to see you succeed. And so what do when our colleagues embarrass us at work or try to undermine our success? Well, the professionals, that is the psychologists and the sociologists, have a lot to say about these moments when we find ourselves confronted with meaningful and direct opposition. They say we choose between fight and flight. And we tend to trust their perspective on the options because, after all, they spend all of their time thinking about what makes us think the way that we think. And so, we have a choice between fighting and flying. Well, over the course of my 35-year career in business, I have learned that people will oppose you at work. And it's likely to happen from the moment that you enter the business arena all the way up into the day that you leave it. So if you want to face opposition by adopting a strategy of fighting or even of flying, you're going to spend a lot of your personal capacity either fighting or flying. And therefore, given the choice between A, fighting, and B, flying, I suggest you choose C, none of the above. And I know you're thinking, well, if I don't stand my ground and fight, and I don't avoid the situation and take flight, then what should I be doing? Well, I want to suggest that you take a new option, the option to shift. Let me say it this way. I recommend that you shift your mindset to unlock your power. I recommend shifting because shifting is both more practical and more powerful. Shifting is more practical because you can expect to face a lot of opposition over the course of your career. Shifting is also more practical because there's a lot of personal capacity at stake. And let me tell you, how you manage your personal capacity will have a direct impact on both your career trajectory and your career longevity. And the simple fact is that you cannot change the minds of your detractors. If someone doesn't like you, or if someone is not interested in you being successful, they'll just keep on opposing you over and over again. But shifting is like redirecting your energy in ways that are much more productive. And let me say this to you. Managing your energy well is the epitome of practicality. But not only that, I want you to think about what I'm saying. I'm looking at your faces and I feel like some of you are saying, well, I'm just a little shocked at what this guy is talking about. Some of you can't even imagine that people at work won't support you, won't be happy about your success, won't be trying to enable you to be successful. You're just trying to figure out, why is this guy even suggesting that? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but over the course of my career, I have learned that you should expect to be opposed at work. And this will happen in many ways. But I believe that there are at least 7 ways. There are at least 7 rumors, or as I like to call them, 7 myths that you can expect will happen to you at work. And so now I know you're asking, what are the 7 myths? Glad you asked. The first myth is the myth of belonging. And it says that somehow they lowered the standard for you. The second myth is the myth of inferiority. And it says that they are better than you. And then there's the third myth, which is the myth of awareness. And it says that they don't know you. But the fourth myth is the myth of protection. And it says they have your back. And then there's the fifth myth, which is the myth of singularity. And it says that somehow they're satisfied with the fact that they only have you. And then there's the sixth myth, which is the myth of silence, which simply says they can't hear you. The final myth, the seventh, is the myth of valuation. And it says that they don't need you. So you can see, shifting becomes a matter of practicality. Shifting is more practical. But not only that, shifting is more powerful. Now, to understand the power of shifting, I want to take us back through these 7 myths, but go a little bit deeper on each. So remember that first myth, the myth of belonging, which simply says that they lowered the standards for you. This myth tends to come in the beginning of your career, and it actually goes to the heart of your very presence in the organization. Someone is suggesting perhaps that you shouldn't be there. But let me let you in on a fact. You passed all the same screeners as everybody else. You passed all the same interviews as everybody else. And so you have just as much a right to be there as anyone else. So what I want you to do is I want you to shift your mindset toward accepting your readiness to be there. You see, I want you to throw off any self-doubt that you might have inside. And when you throw off that self-doubt, you'll be able to get your swagger on. And that's what it's all about. Showing up to work ready and knowing that you are ready. And the more you do that, the more you nullify the myth of belonging. Secondly, is the myth of inferiority. And it says that they are better than you. Have you ever noticed how people will create a scale? Oh, sometimes in their mind it'll be an elaborate scale. And they'll put themselves on that scale above you. But they made up the scale. It doesn't matter. It can be things like where you're from or where you went to school, or even things like who you know. But these are all distractions. What I want you to do is I want you to shift your mindset by focusing on building your personal brand. And I want you to also shift your mindset by focusing on mastering your craft, mastering your business. You see, the more you show up to work, developing and building mastery over your business, the more you nullify the myth of inferiority. Now, third is the myth of awareness. And it says that they don't know you. Someone in the organization suggests that, hey, you know, if they just got to know you better, if people in the office just got to know you a little bit better, oh, well, then you will be much better off. Well, the reality is, pursuing this myth, you can get caught up in a kind of popularity contest. And so what I want you to do is focus on shifting your mindset so that you focus on building your own personal brand. The clearer you make your personal brand, the more authentic you make your personal brand, the more you nullify the myth of awareness. Now, fourth is the myth of protection. And it says that they have your back. Now, this could be a colleague who says, hey man, I got you. But the minute that push comes to shove, and you really need that person, and you're looking around, but they're nowhere to be found. Or this could be your boss who says, don't worry. You don't need the support of anyone else. Just put all your trust in me. I'll help you get through. Well, the problem with this is folks aren't always as reliable as they put forward. And so I want you to shift your mindset. And I want you to focus on building a support base or a support system. You see, the broader you make your own support system, the less reliant you are on any one person to have your back. Fifth is the myth of singularity. And it says that somehow the organization has become satisfied with the fact that they only have you. Now this can be a tricky one. Suppose you're the only woman at your level in the organization. It feels good. Am I right? Am I right? Or suppose you're the only African American sitting around the leadership table. It feels good, doesn't it? I mean, let's be honest. It feels like a good thing. But what I want you to do is shift your mindset and understand the power that comes from bringing someone else to the table. You see, you can shift your mindset by sharing your hard-earned exposure with other folks who want to be where you are. Now, sixth is the myth of silence. And it simply says that they can't hear you. Now, you remember the fighter. The fighter just gets louder. And you remember the flyer. The flyer gets gone. But you're neither. You're a shifter. And you shift your mindset by amplifying your voice. Now, I don't mean just making your voice louder, but I mean making your voice more effective. Amplifying the impact of your voice. And the more that you do this, the more you nullify the myth of silence. Now finally, there's the myth of valuation. And this one says that they don't need you. Now this tends to come at the end of your career. And it carries the idea that you have outlived your usefulness. That we're moving on. We've decided to go in another direction. And you drew the short straw and you're out. We don't need you. Listen to me. I don't want you to spend any time arguing with folks in the organization about your value. Instead, I want you to show up every day proving your value by mastering your craft, by building a support base, by leaving a legacy. This is how you overcome the myth of valuation. These myths require a shift. Shifting is more powerful. It's more powerful because it puts you in control of your own energy, and you spend far less time trying to deal with all the corporate mythology that other folks are spreading in the organization about you. Shifting allows you to demonstrate a power that's actually already within you. That's got to be good news. It's already inside of you. And you spend far less time dealing with these 7 external questions of belonging, inferiority, awareness, protection, singularity, silence, and valuation. And instead you convert these questions into self-empowered statements like mastery, awareness. You start exercising your own power. This is important because it's necessary to overcome the impact of these 7 myths. But not only that, it's powerful to overcome the lingering and damaging effect that these myths can have on how you see yourself. Shifting is more powerful. It's sort of like reframing the situation. It's like redirecting your energy in ways that are much more powerful. It's like changing the game. Now, if you haven't quite picked up on everything that I've said about the power of shifting, I want you to really absorb this next statement. Take this one mentally home with you. There is real power in shifting your own mindset. It's much more powerful than trying to change other folks. Shift your own mindset. I like what Wayne Gretzky said when he was asked why he was such a great hockey player. Gretzky said, "I go to where the puck is going." Think about it. While everyone else is over here scrambling for position where the puck is, Gretzky shifts his position to where the puck is going to be and thereby puts himself in position to make a winning score. Wayne Gretzky was shifting his mindset. I also like what Larry Bird said when they asked him, "Why do you come to the arena hours before everyone else and take so many shots at the basket?" Bird said, "I like to take a shot from every position on the court. That way I know when the game is on the line and there's only a couple of seconds left and they throw me that ball, I know I've already taken and made that shot earlier today." Bird has shifted his mindset and put himself in position to win the game for his team. So the next time you're opposed at work, I don't want you to spend any time playing the game according to other folks' rules of engagement. Be smart. Put yourself in position to win the game. I want you to shift your mindset to unlock your power. Now that's an idea worth spreading. Thank you very much.